speak to Natia Seskuria, who is an Associate Fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. There can be no doubt in anybody's mind that power in Russia is solely concentrated in the hands of one man. Just tell us what messages emerged from President Putin's inauguration speech that stood out for you.
Thank you very much for having me. Well, today we saw a very much staged performance by Putin, something that he was very much expected by everyone, really. But I think it's interesting to unpack what sort of messages he has voiced from the stage, when he addressed 2,500 people, and of course invited guests, and of course the Russian population was the main target audience. He pressed and he stressed on security and stability, something that most Russians are most likely worried about due to the fact that there is an ongoing war effort from the Russian side against Ukraine. And he also thanked the Russians as well as the soldiers for their effort when it comes to war in Ukraine. And he also made an emphasis on the unity and on Russia being a great nation. We heard the nationalistic statements from Putin, which was very much expected as well. And something that was also interesting is that he sent a message that the choice is on the Western side when it comes to diplomatic discussions, but there wasn't really much novelty in this statement, because Putin reiterated that the cooperation and peace would be only established if the West takes into consideration the Russian terms, which we already know that is very much focused on Ukraine losing its territorial integrity and sovereignty.
Now let's talk about the guest list at that event today at the Kremlin. There were diplomatic representatives from Hungary, Slovakia, Greece, Cyprus, Malta and France. They all attended. Just yesterday, the French ambassador to Moscow, Pierre Lévy, was summoned, and the foreign ministry says he was intimidated or threatened by the Russian foreign ministry. Why do you think he decided it would be a good idea to attend?
Well, it's a strange decision, to be honest, that France still decided to represent through its ambassador at the inauguration ceremonies, especially in light of the statements that Josef Borrell has made. And he urged, let's put it that way, he recommended the leaders to abstain from attending this highly staged inaugural ceremony, which we already know that is not representative of free and fair elections, because Putin was competing against no one in this election. So it's a strange decision, and also in light of the fact that tensions have been rising between France and Russia due to the recent developments. And we saw that the representatives of the countries were very much that were present were very much from those countries that are supportive or have somewhat neutral standing when it comes to Russia's aggression against Ukraine. And France is, of course, not within the list of these countries.
Here in France, President Macron has been busy mending fences and building bridges with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. And I'm just wondering if you think this relationship that seems to have improved between Paris and Beijing could be used to help diffuse tensions to some extent with Moscow.
It's an interesting question. I doubt, to be honest, as much as China is, of course, very important partner for Russia, and they have been providing crucial support to Russia when it comes to economy, for example. They are still very much interested in having this sort of balanced standing when it comes to balancing their sort of interests and their relationships between European Union and Moscow, and they certainly align with Moscow when it comes to their anti-Western rhetoric, their anti-Western interests. So I think it is, despite the fact that Chinese leadership has mentioned a few times that they would be willing to play this sort of mediating role, I doubt that there is much willingness on the Chinese part to negotiate with Russia to end the war in Ukraine, and at the same time take into consideration Ukraine's legitimate concerns when it comes to territorial integrity and sovereignty, and the restoration of the territories or territorial control.
Okay, thanks for that. And just lastly, I wanted to ask for your reaction on reaction that came from Alexei Navalny's widow. She says Russia is ruled by a liar, a thief and a murderer. I'm just wondering, how audible do you think she is to people in Russia? And do you think we're going to hear more from her in the years to come?
Well, of course, Yulia Navalny is trying her best to ensure that she continues the work that her husband has started, to basically make Russians understand the threats that Putin represents, those Russians who do not understand it yet. But unfortunately, the fact is that created this system which does not really allow the alternative voices to be present in the media, in public, and of course the fact itself that Yulia Navalny is doing her job from the West is a disadvantage for her, in a sense that she is not accessible. Her work, her voice is not accessible to most of Russians who are still trapped within Russia and who believe the state propaganda that they are subjected on a daily basis. Okay,
well, thanks a lot for sharing all that with us and answering those various questions we put to you. Natia Seskuria, Associate Fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. Thank you very much indeed. The Summer Olympics